Okay guys, let's take the money shot. All nice and black and shiny. It just went through the car wash. Even the rust is shiny. 3 years worth of use. And I'm gonna go over all the mods that I did to this thing. This is the Professional Series Charcoal Griller. And if I remember right, it's the Choice of Champions. Okay guys, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna buy this Oklahoma Joe's firebox. Back here, you're gonna see that I cut it. And it went down the angle. We're gonna have to round this edge just a little bit so it clears the back of the smoker. And if I would have been smart, I'm gonna show you how you do it the other way. I cut the top instead of cutting the bottom so I could leave that rolled edge up there. But we'll soften this all up. Either way, I still wanted to have the Oklahoma Joe's label on there. All right, guys, so here's my final product. This is the back. Does not have the handle. Accommodates it perfectly. There's the handle on the front. And the best part is, and talk about having some perfect clearance, look on the back. Isn't that great, guys? Lid closes perfect. Take out to clean. Slide this out. Put my chimney to get it going. And then I can just dump it in there. Once I slide it back in. Ta-da. On Amazon, I bought some 4-inch by 12-inch pieces of stainless steel. And then I just bent them so I could create my little snakes, if you will. So here I have my snakes in, and if you'll notice the way that I've got these set up, it's going to start right here and then work its way around this way. The reason I start over here is because you've got the air coming in, so you don't want the ashes to be down in here before the air gets over here. So ashes to the back, air to the front, and it keeps moving towards the air. I'll show you how to stack the briquettes here in just a little bit. So if you're going to use the 2-coal method to keep the heat a little bit lower and make them last longer, this is how I do the 2-coal stack snake. And here's the 3. I just basically stack it on the outer edge to keep the heat away from the plates. Now the space in between the plates is to keep the heat from going to the next side and starting the coals on fire. So if you keep it over there, because it's burning hotter, it stays away. But I'm going to show you real quick how else I modified this basket, where to use it and how to use it. I cut this flat and that flat right up there. First thing we got to do though is remove this ash pan, tray, whatever you want to call it. See how nice and pretty this fits? We've got the handle right here on the outside of your grills, and I cut it flat so it fits in between the grates. That's a better little money shot for you. And then you can put all your briquettes right in here, and you now have concentrated heat for the searing, or move your stuff over here and you cook with indirect heat. Voila. Now let's move on to this front tray. Okay, Traeger lovers, I bought a Traeger tray for the front, and it absolutely positively does not fit per the instructions. But what you got to do is you have to flip the hinges. Now these are the original screws that they come with. I went ahead and put them back in there so you can hang your stuff on. And then I went and bought some other screws that I put inside into the rivet nuts. Now obviously these ones are not stainless steel, but same difference. You can fold the shelf down and it fits perfectly when you put those screws on the inside. So next is the Oklahoma Joe's warming tray. Fits perfect on top of this. 4 stainless steel bolts, and nuts of course, and a spacer right there. Fits perfectly. Just bolt it onto the lid. Now I did go down to the local Army surplus store so that I could get a piece of stainless steel. And of course I've cut my shield that I needed for inside of my grill. Easy to do and super cheap. I like cheap. So let's call this a smoke, mainly heat retention plate. So while it's still new, nice and shiny, because I cleaned it, you can kind of see what it's going to do. Made a wing nut to hold it in. Drilled a hole right in the center. And then she's being held by the original nut that was there for the warmer tray. I drilled a new one right there. So it's being held up strictly gravity, I guess. And that lowers the hole so that the heat can go from the top all the way over and then down to the bottom about midway. You can see. There's my bolt on the top. And I had to add one more bolt right there. And that holds it up on the inside. Got myself a freight train going on here. Now let's talk about the gasket material. This stuff here is super duper thick, pliable, fiberglass. It's got a 3M sticky tape on this thing, and I'm going to tell you what, this stuff is like tar. This will stick. It is not going to come off. Now, one thing to note, I did clean it with the wire brush. Also used a Dremel to make sure it was super duper clean. I am going to bet $1 to a donut that this thing seals up like beyond fantastic. There is no room between here. And this one had the biggest gap of all. And there is no room between there. This is what it looks like when everything opens up. I stuck it on the back, right down there. Stuck it on the sides, and it looks like an oven. And I stuck it up on the top. And then right back down on the side. Now, let me close this for you. Boom. Even closes like an oven door. That, guys, is sealed shut. I will do a smoke test. I showed you my freight train before, and we'll see how it works. Well, guys, the gasket worked. Look at this guy. Everything's coming out of the chimney. Nothing around except the right little corner right there. I can fix that. Nothing around the back. The freight train is parked. Let's see if my gaskets work. I'd say they do. So biggest mod of all for you with family and your grill, cut the legs off. Get some sheet metal, put a board across all the way to the other side because it's very thin on the bottom. Now all the mods I did as far as adding the shelf and removing the factory shelf, I went ahead and gave it new ones. New shelf there, new shelf there. And I kind of like this front shelf. So here it is, man, for you, your family, and your grill. Backyard island. I love it. Get yourself one.